Good morning. It's good to be with you on this Monday morning. It's great to continue in our time together in the book of Micah. Micah is an interesting prophet. Today we're going to read some of his words about leadership. So we're going to read Micah chapter 3. We're going to read chapter 3, verses 1 through 12. So all of chapter 3. And now I said, Hear now, you leaders of Jacob, you rulers of the house of Israel. Is it not for you to know justice? You who hate evil and you who hate good and love evil, who tear off their skin from them and their flesh from their bones, who eat the flesh of my people, strip off their skin from them, smash their bones and chop them up for the pot, as a meat in the cauldron. Then they will cry out to the Lord, but he will not answer them. Instead, he will hide his face from them at that time, because they have practiced evil deeds. This is what the Lord says concerning the prophets who lead my people astray. When they have something to bite their teeth, they cry out peace. But against him who puts nothing in their mouth, they declare holy war. Therefore it will be night for you without vision, and darkness for you without divination. The sun will go down on the prophets, and the day will become dark over them. The seers will be put to shame, and the diviners will be ashamed. Indeed, they will cover their lips, because there is no answer from God. On the other hand, I am filled with power, with the Spirit of the Lord, with justice and courage to make known to Jacob his rebellious act, and to Israel his sin. Now hear this, you heads of the house of Jacob, and rulers of the house of Israel, who despise justice, and twist everything that is straight, who build Zion with bloodshed, and Jerusalem with malice. Her leaders pronounce judgment for a bribe, and her priests teach for pay, and her prophets divine for money. Yet they lean on the Lord, saying, is the Lord not in our midst? Catastrophe will not come upon us. Therefore, on account of you, Zion will be plowed like a field. Jerusalem will become like a heap of ruins, and the mountains of the temple will become high places of forest. So, um, Micah is like, in many ways, Amos. If you remember when we were reading Amos, remember how he was condemned by the royal prophets. Remember that when they came to him and said, go back to Judah and prophesy, because Amos came up from the southern kingdom of Judah and prophesied in Samaria, or the northern kingdom. And when he did that, he would prophesy against the king, and the royal prophets, the ones who worked for the king, said, go back to where you came from, go prophesy down there, go make your money. And Amos said, I'm just a shepherd. I came to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going home. So Micah has a bit of that, because he talks there. Her leader, this is verse 11. Her leaders pronounce judgment for a bribe. Her priests teach for pay. Her prophets divine for money. Yet they lean on the Lord, saying, "Is not the Lord in our midst? Catastrophe will not come upon us. Therefore, things will crumble because of that." The imagery in chapter 3, verse 2 was graphic. You who hate good and love evil, who tear off their skin from them and their flesh from their bones, who eat the flesh of my people, strip off their skin from them, smash their bones, and chop them up as for a pot, as meat in my cauldron. And they cry out to the Lord, but he will not answer them. Instead, he will hide his face from them at that time, because they practice evil deeds. The strong are called to protect the weak. I think that's what we're seeing here, is that the strong, the leaders, the priests, the kings, are called to help the people understand what's right, and understand how to live into that. It's the job of a shepherd. And as a pastor, that's a job that I feel quite, um, I feel great heaviness and responsibility in trying to shepherd and lead my people. It's something that I take very seriously. It's the height of my calling, is to try to shepherd my people well and love my people, and lead them as God would want them led. And it's a heavy burden for every pastor that pastors take very seriously. So I would say, if you don't do it regularly, I would encourage you to pray for your pastor, that he or she can know how to lead their church in a way that will glorify God, and will help the sheep be led to the good shepherd, which is our point. And so if you're a pastor, you feel these verses very, very deeply. You feel them very personally. You feel them in a way that really makes you want to prayerfully consider your words, your actions, your statements, that you are guiding the sheep well. But if you're not a pastor, you're not a that talks about leaders. If you're not a king or an elected official, if you're just an ordinary person, which we're all ordinary people, aren't we? But if you're just a mom or a dad, for those you know what not watching, I said just a mom or dad in quotation marks, because the most important job we have in our life is to be a mother or a father. If you're quote unquote just a parent or just an employee, you're like, well, golly, I don't have any responsibility in this. I don't have to worry about this. That's for the important people. That's for the leaders and folks like that. I can just go about my business. But in all of our life, every one of us, I think it's important for us to realize the influence we have with our words, with our actions, with how we live, to understand that there are always little eyes watching us. What's the old kid song? Be careful, little eyes, what you see, careful, little ears, what you hear, careful, little mouth, what you say. Got to always remember that there are always little eyes watching us. And sometimes those little eyes are literally that little eyes of children and grandchildren and nieces and nephews and cousins and children in our schools and in our churches. Yeah, sometimes it's those little eyes, but sometimes it's the metaphorical little eyes of new believers, or maybe the eyes of unbelievers who don't know what a Christian should say or do. And it's important for us to model the grace of Jesus, to model Jesus for them. I think of something, it's something Coach Myers, you've heard me talk about Coach Myers from Bogachita, one of my coaches. Something he said to us years ago, and it's resonated with me throughout all the years. He always said, your life may be the only Bible that someone reads. And that's stuck with me throughout all these years. I want to make sure that I'm living in a way that with how I live and what I do and what I say and who I am, that I point to Jesus, that I point others to Jesus with all that I am. And I think here in this passage, I think that's a word for all of us, whether we are in quote unquote leadership or not, whether we have quote unquote influence or not. We all are in leadership. We all have influence, particularly as a Christian. We have great influence. And so we want to make sure that we are living, we are loving, that we are pointing in such a way that those who are looking for Jesus find Jesus in us. That we can, through our words and actions and lives, point others to him. That's what these shepherds did not do. They did not take care of the needy in their midst. They did not care for those who were in need or broken or helpless. And they did take advantage of those. They did not act. And then he says in verse 8, on the other hand, I'm filled with power, the Spirit of the Lord, and with justice and courage to make known to Jacob his rebellious act. So it's important for us to act with courage, to live boldly, gracefully for Jesus wherever we find ourselves. And that can be scary. He says, to those who despise justice and twist everything that is straight, who build Zion in bloodshed and Jerusalem with malice. Let's make sure that we are living in a way that allows people to know that good news of Jesus. That's what Micah does with his words. That's what we're going to continue to see throughout the book of Micah, is that he points others to God's righteousness, to God's justice, to God's grace, to God's salvation, and in our life. And in what we do, how we live, who we are, that's our job, is to shepherd, to be persons of influence. Even though you may not feel like you got it, you do. You have influence. So today, live gracefully, live lovingly, live boldly, live for Jesus. And y'all, I guarantee you, when we live for Jesus with all that we are, will make a difference for his kingdom. So use your influence well. Realize you have it and use it well. Thanks for being with us. Tomorrow we'll pick up with chapter 4. Thanks for being with us as we walk through Micah. Have a great day.